back in Matthew. We're in chapter 5, verses 21 through 26. And this is Jesus' teaching in the Sermon on the Mount on anger. And I like this pace that we're going on these. I really like these shorter videos on a shorter section. So let me know in the comments if you like that. Like and subscribe to catch all of them as they come out too. But on anger, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says you fool will be liable to the hell of fire. So if you're offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you be put in prison. Truly I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. So you have heard it said, right there in the beginning, verse 21, he says, you have heard that it was said to those of old. This is an important point, because one of the biggest issues I see with people is the disregard for the Old Testament. And they point to Jesus and his revolutionary interpretations because he's actually, I would say that they're radical interpretations. I say radical because the law of the Old Testament is imperfect people following rules from God based on creation. The law of God was spoken into existence. And I think this is my personal theory, and you can let me know what you think of it. When God said, let there be light, I think at that moment, God's law existed. Light is a symbol for purpose, meaning, order, God's standard. That's what brings joy. And we were made to glorify God. And that glory of God is made manifest when we fall into God's created order. And so I think the law was created at that moment. That might not be exactly, again, I'm studying a lot of this stuff and I'm learning as I go. But so this idea of people disregarding the Old Testament, God progressively reveals himself through the Bible. Each stage, humanity goes through these steps forward. God is revealing more of the law. Jesus is saying, you have heard that it was said to those of old, right? This is not a rebuke of the Old Testament. This isn't even a rebuke of the Levitical law or the law we find in Deuteronomy. He's correcting not the Old Testament, but the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the chief priests, the religious leaders who are getting the intent of the law wrong. So he's reminding us that he came, just before that, in verse 17, do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. So he's saying, I'm in line with this. You need to get in line with this. So I think that's one of the important things about this section. So when we hear that in these sermons, Jesus is not correcting the Old Testament. He's correcting the people getting it wrong. He's saying, get back to the intent. Be radical in your understanding. The created order is the law. And Jesus goes on to equate anger with the same punishment as murder. I mean, it seems like Jesus is embracing the slippery slope argument here, where he's saying that the real problem is in your heart. So even if you don't go out and kill somebody, you are committing a sin of anger in your heart. You might as well murder somebody if you are doing this. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who, well, morally there's a big difference between murdering somebody and hating them. That's very true. But the whole point here is that there's something in your heart that is off. You are not glorifying God if your heart is filled with anger. You don't have as much space for love and truth and glorifying God and worshiping God. If all of your heart is not given to that, then you're not putting God first. So the process of sanctification is doing that, becoming more glorifying to God. So equating this anger with the same punishment as murder seems harsh, but a lot of these sermons are to make sure that nobody's left out. So he says, reconcile with your brother quickly. Anger is a root of murder. Reconcile with your brother quickly. Keep short accounts. I heard Doug Wilson, it was a sermon from Christ Church, or a different, I think it was Toby Sumter actually, who said that in your marriage you should keep short accounts. And this idea is that you should not let sin accumulate. You should confess your sin to the people that it's affecting as quickly as you recognize that you do it. Because the longer you let it go, you're just letting that account build up. It's like paying a credit card bill. If you do it as it's due or before it's due, it's easy. But if you wait and wait and wait for a few months, you've got an interest payment as well. Don't let that stuff build up. So reconcile with your brother quickly, he says. And then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge. So Jesus is reminding us that not reconciling has consequences now as well, and on a human level, and not. So there's multiple levels here, but he's saying be reconciled in an earthly human manner, but he's also mirroring that with your reconciliation with God. And so this is bringing the point of anger. I think it's important with these to let the weight of this sit on you. That even if you don't think you have an anger problem, right? Which a lot of people, I mean the right wing rage porn, the all this kind of like goofy stuff going on in the world, and it's easy to get angry when you see some of it. But you have to let that go. Like even if it's not about somebody specific, this idea that you're taking up space in your heart and your mind to not glorify God, everybody is guilty of this at some point. Everybody gets angry at some point. And if you don't, just wait. There's more. So that's what I have on this one. This kind of a foundational one. We're going to get into the next three are lust, divorce, oaths. So we're going to go through these different concepts and video by video, and I think we'll find out that Jesus is really hitting people with hard truths and basically saying there's not anybody who can meet all of these standards, even one of these standards. And when you realize the intent of the law and the level of worship and the level of sacrifice that we give, we are called to be a living sacrifice. And that is mirrored here in these sermons. So really heavy. And right there, anybody that thinks, that hell isn't a real thing, I mean, you fool. If you just say you fool, you'd be liable to the hell of fire. The intent is very important. So anyways, I'm going to stop beating the dead horse on that one. But if you, like I said, like and subscribe these to catch all of them as they come out. We're going to go through this section by section, and I will catch you in the next video. All right? Peace.